There we go. I don't know why I didn't want to play ball, but the button didn't want to work for a minute there. Good morning, everybody. It's Firearms Friday, and it's the last, this just might be the last show I do this year. We'll see what next week looks like, but we're going into the Christmas. It's time, baby. Let's see how the holiday spirits are treating our Second Amendment rights this week. Good to see you guys. Let's do this. Ooh, I almost hit the wrong button. Good morning. So, there was an update, apparently, with Restream and X, formerly Twitter. I'm having to take an extra half a minute or so getting ready this morning because I got to get looks like the chat integration isn't quite up to snuff over here yet. And I want to be able to see who's commenting on Twitter as well. So let's hope that I think I've got that working right. And yeah, so good morning. It's Firearms Friday. I hope you got your good hot cup of coffee. If we start hearing me echo for a minute, I'll have to pop back over to that X window and fix it. But otherwise, I think we're just about ready to get started this morning. We are going into the Christmas weekend. I'll touch that up with a good safety brief at the end of the show as usual. And I'm going to go ahead and come at you with this wonderful little story from Dolly Parton, believe it or not. This just caught my eye a few minutes ago, and it's a 6-minute clip, but we're only going to watch about the first two and a half minutes of it.
Represent my hippie songs that I've been
Sure,
doing.
you brought sunshine into our lives.
How you folks doing?
I
love
Now, do you like, this is a question I want to ask you. You know, you're from Smoky Mountains, Tennessee, and you're here in the city, New York City, and a lot of people say they love New York, but are you comfortable here? I mean, it's so different from the way you grew up.
Well, I am.
So they're talking about New York City, and let's be real. The time period that they're about to start talking about is, 40 years ago. New York City today is a very, very different creature.
Now,
Yeah.
but the first time I was ever here was, I guess it was in the late 60s, early 70s, and I had just started making a name in country music, so of course all country girls want to
Whoa. Before Dolly gets, we have a commenter on Twitch who is about to get the banhammer trying to sell shit on my show. No, thank you. You have to pay me for that privilege, sweetheart.
city, so my girlfriend Judy Ogle and I, well, we thought, well, we'll just go to New York. So we came up here, and we didn't have any money at that time. I was just beginning to make it. And so we checked in a hotel, and we've been friends since we were little, so we just got one room. And, of course, I look cheaper then than I even do now. But anyway, and Judy didn't look any better. So we checked in this hotel, and they thought we were hookers. So we went out looking around in the city, and we come back to our room, and they had our luggage out in the hall, and they had us locked out because they thought we were returning tricks up here.
So the management threw your luggage out of the room?
Out, and then we were waiting to get, we didn't have reservations back home, so we had our stuff. We asked if we could please at least leave it in the lobby, so we were out waiting around until time to leave, and we were walking down this, we didn't know where to go. And what's the name of that street?
People always ask me these questions.
You should know.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, I used to, 42nd Street.
That's where we wound up, accidentally, and this guy thought that we were on the make.
Right.
And we was just trying to get home. We was just killing time. We didn't know where we were. So at that time, that was back, I was a country girl from the mountains. I had a gun in my purse.
What?
And so
Wait a minute, I love how you just throw that in there. Well, of course I had a gun.
Well, we came to New York. That was back.
Okay, right there. Conan's, oh, well, yeah, I just love how you throw that in there like it's not a normal thing. Well, of course I had a gun. Conan, sweetheart, this is important. It is a normal thing. Right, there was a time before guns, and guess what? At that time, it was normal to carry a sword, or at least a good knife. Right, there was a time before guns and knives. It was perfectly normal to carry a weapon. It's always been normal since we have discovered that we can kill things with a rock to carry a weapon. Because there are things out there that understand that they can kill you with whatever the current weapon is. That's why when the founders drafted the Second Amendment, part of the conversation was that the people should be armed with contemporary military apparatus sufficient to suppress a tyrannical government. That was part of the conversation. These shitheads that say, oh, well, when they wrote the Second Amendment, they only had muskets. They didn't know about machine guns and stuff. Bullshit. They absolutely discussed the probability of advancing technology at a time when not only did they have muskets, they had things like the puckle gun, which, for all intents and purposes, by the contemporary technological model, was the equivalent of a machine gun. The idea that the founders did not envision a future that included high capacity, high rate of fire firearms is psychotic. Now, you want to make the argument that they maybe hadn't figured on lasers yet, and that might be a different conversation. But the point was that the average citizen, that the contemporary citizen, should be adequately armed to resist its tyrannical government. A government so large that it can control a military that cannot be put down by its citizenry would be anathema to the understanding of the founding fathers. They were much less likely to envision the tyrannical psychopathy of the modern government than they were to imagine the development of machine guns. It's that simple. So, yes, Conan, it is just a normal thing for a pretty young lady to have a gun in her purse. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not already in practice here, let me tell you something. Christmas is in just a couple of days, and you got some shopping to do.
Then, and
Sure.
country girl's not going to.
So you had a gun in your purse?
I had a gun in my purse, and this guy wouldn't leave me alone because he was just sure I was playing hard to get and that I was really after it.
Right.
Or he definitely was after it. So I didn't know how to get him off me. So I just pulled my gun out and I just said, if you touch me one more time, I'm going to shoot you. And so he backed off. Well, actually, he did laugh, and my friend Judy started laughing because she thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. And so then he thought it was a joke. Anyway, it was a long story.
When people in New York pull a gun, it doesn't usually end up in giggling, you know?
No, I know, but she
Yeah.
just thought it was funny
Sure,
that I did
sure.
that, and he thought then it really was a joke because he thought we were running in pairs. Anyway,
This
it's
is
a long
this is not the story I expected from you. It's
They even used that line in 9 to 5 when I said I'll turn you from a rooster to a hen with
that's
one
right.
shot.
Yeah.
So,
That was from you. You had.
well, I think they based it on that
Sure.
story that I told, so it doesn't matter. But I love New York now. I've been coming here.
And that's enough of that. But, you know, it's a cute little story. And one of the things we talk about often on the show, Pitt Danny asks, what year was this recorded? Looks like it was, the original air date was 10/14/05. But yeah, it's a cute story and everything. But one of the things that we talk about on the show often is that the CDC numbers on concealed carry, on defensive gun use, they're kind of soft numbers because so many of the stories, and I opened all the DGUs wrong, so I'm gonna have to start over. But so many of the stories involve a crime about to happen, and the armed citizen merely displays the firearm. The crime then does not occur. It has now been effectively averted, and there's no report, right? So even though the CDC reports that there are between 2 and 4 million defensive gun uses every year that save lives, the fact is that number is much higher because more of those incidences go unreported. Oh wow, existing wholesales. Somebody has got their eyeball on selling me some followers, and boys, it ain't gonna happen. So, but I hope y'all enjoyed that little bright spot from Dolly. Everybody loves Dolly, and that's a good thing. And let's go ahead and get into a couple of DGUs before the safety brief this morning. Oh wow, this is a short one, but it should be entertaining. Robber with airsoft gun gets shot by dollar store employee, runs into bus while fleeing. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. Okay. If you're gonna rob somebody, use a real gun. Now, that's not advice. The advice is don't commit robberies. But the fact is this. If you take a toy gun that looks real and use it to commit a robbery, you will be charged as if the gun were real. Guaranteed. If you use what appears to be a weapon, we've talked about this many times before, right? You use what appears to be a weapon, even if it's just the old bad movie trick where you stick your finger in your pocket so it looks like you're holding a gun in your coat pocket. You have just intimated to your intended victim that the firearm is a present and clear threat, and you have given them the understanding of the situation, which includes that the use of deadly force in reply is lawful, reasonable, and necessary. If nobody dies and you get arrested for committing the crime of robbery, even if it was just the fake finger in the jacket thing, you, my friend, have committed armed robbery at least. Right? We can make philosophical arguments about the presence and intent of the threat, but at least within the confines of the law, what you have done is not distinct from using a real firearm. Now, there are some clever lawyers out there that might be able to use that circumstance to help you plead for a lighter sentencing, but the charge will be armed robbery. So just know that. Using a fake gun does not make you better off. Nobody gives a shit if your gun is fake, if the intent is for everyone to believe it is real. So in Houston, Texas, that's hard to read for you guys probably. Let me spin that up for you a bit. A man attempted to rob a Dollar General store arming himself with an airsoft gun, only to be shot by an employee with a real gun. And guys, many of you know me. I have an airsoft gun shop on wheels that I used to do trade shows with, and I've got a bunch of high-end airsoft guns that I'm telling you, it's not just that you can't tell the difference by looking at them. With most of the ones that I have, you can pick the weapon up and operate the action. And unless you're somebody who handles guns a lot, who is very familiar, you hand it to Joe Civilian that doesn't spend a lot of time with guns. You can hand one of those to him, and he will not be able to tell you which one is I take out two 1911s, for example, set them on the table and say which one's the real one. And if you're not somebody that handles a firearm, you're not gonna pick up the real one and the fake one and go to clear it and be able to look and say, oh, well, this one has a gas port and this one has a firing pin, so the one with the gas port is the airsoft gun. They are that distinct. They are that indistinguishable. They are that real. And there's a reason for that. The ones that I use for film props and for milsim sports and the like, they're what are called professional training replicas. I bought them while I was still active duty military, and we used them to train soldiers. And it's not just so that you have a toy in your hand to play the war game. It's this weapon operates like your real weapon. Train like you fight. This weapon will jam like your real weapon, and it's mechanically the same. So if the weapon jams like your real weapon, then your corrective action when you go to apply sports, slap, push, observe, release, tap. When you go to apply sports to your weapon, then squeeze the trigger. Sports. It's mechanically the same, so you train like you fight. So, shortly after 1 p.m. yesterday, a man parked his car in front of a dollar store in Houston, Texas. After arming himself with an airsoft gun, which looks like a replica handgun but only shoots BBs, he entered the store and demanded the safe be opened. An employee saw what was taking place, retrieved a handgun, and shot the suspect at least once. The suspect fled in his vehicle and then crashed into a bus. When the police arrived at the scene, they found the man wounded and bleeding out in the vehicle. He was taken to a local hospital where he died. So no, Danny, it is not a DRT on the road. It is a DOT at the hospital. And frankly, when I finally do get around to it and add more of those achievement badges, like we've talked about doing a few times in the past, one of them needs to be a Darwin Award, precisely for stuff like this and for stuff like the butt gun from a couple years ago. If y'all didn't see the butt gun episode, do yourselves a favor and go look that shit up. It was hilarious. So, all right. But don't try to rob stores. Oh, this one's too short. Okay, I'll do it real quick, but this one's, y'all know I don't read these beforehand. I scan enough headline to decide whether or not it's a DGU. Pet owner who fatally shot veterinary hospital employee was acting in self-defense. Grand jury finds. Last week, a grand jury chose not to indict a pet owner charged with fatally shooting 21-year-old Trent T.J. Taylor, an employee at the Shively Animal Clinic and Hospital in Shively, Kentucky. Jesus Christ. Shot him on Mother's Day. A billing dispute at Shively Animal Hospital in Shively, Kentucky did not result in a pet owner fatally shooting a vet hospital employee, as was widely and initially assumed across social media. Okay, I'm gonna back out of the reader mode and see if there's more to the article. Oh, I see. They're hiding part of the article. Gotcha. Wow, that's I don't even know what to say about that. That's damn. Let's just move on from that one and see what the next story is. Jury finds man in 2022 homicide not guilty. Defense lawyer says he shot in self-defense after altercation at South Toledo bar. Vontae Garrett was charged with the homicide of Mark Weisinger. A jury found him not guilty on Wednesday. A Lucas County jury has found a man not guilty of 3 charges in the 2022 homicide of Mark Weisinger. According to court documents, Vontae Garrett was found not guilty of murder, felonious assault, and discharge of a firearm near prohibited premises Wednesday following a 7-day trial. Of course, you get angry when you hear your name being slandered and things being said that aren't true about you. But honestly, you've got to trust the justice system and the jury of peers picked out, Garrett said at a news conference Thursday. I'm sure he feels that way since they acquitted him, but y'all, the whole jury or peers thing is looking more and more like a bygone age, given the developments this week. Garrett's lawyer, State Rep Josh Williams, argued Garrett shot Weisinger in self-defense. According to Garrett's testimony, a group of people led by Weisinger, 32, entered Crocs's Bar and Grill where Garrett and his family were and started causing problems. Weisinger's group entered the bar and instantly were obnoxious, laying on the bar and throwing ice at one of the members of the party, leading to a confrontation. Weisinger threatened to shoot Garrett's group. So looking to avoid more trouble, Williams said Garrett and his party began to leave, only for Weisinger's group to follow them out. Yeah, if you follow my family, if I get up to leave, if you're aggravating me and my wife and children enough that we need to get up and leave the restaurant, okay, we've chosen to get up and leave the restaurant, do the responsible, adult, intelligent thing, and extract ourselves from the situation. It's tactically, strategically the same as just not driving through Compton with my kids, right? I don't take my kids into Atlanta, generally. Unless it's the middle of the frickin' day and we've got a very specific destination with a very specific objective and guns. Because the safety of my family is there's about a couple of dozen people in this world that come first. And let me tell you something very clearly, all other lives, in view of the safety of the family, are forfeit. That's easy. So you came in, you caused a problem, and the family and I felt the need to get up and leave to make a tactical withdrawal. If you pursue at this point, I'm already comfortable with slinging lead at you. So let's see where it goes from there. This led to a moment in the parking lot when Garrett said he could see the 2 men begin to pull out guns and rush toward him. Oh yeah, we're done. We're done. I'd have already been comfortable slinging lead at you at appear to pull out. Anything. I don't care. I don't care if it ends up being a gun. It might be a knife. It might be a taser. It might be pepper spray. If you're approaching aggressively and appear to be withdrawing an object from concealment, you do not get the benefit of the doubt. You get the benefit of the round. Williams said Weisinger was reaching for his waistband and running towards Garrett, yelling, "Shoot." My client fires 2 shots, center mass, 1 in the chest, 1 in the head, killing him. In the state of Ohio, that's self-defense. And in every other state, that's called a Mozambique. Good on you, my man. Good on you. According to police reports, Weisinger was shot in the head with a 9mm pistol after fighting with an individual in the street. Weisinger died on November 5th, 2022 of bronchopneumonia as a complication of a gunshot wound to the head. His death was ruled a homicide by the Lucas County Coroner's Office. Oh, so it looks like he didn't actually die at the scene. That report is somewhat conflicting. The statement by the lawyer seems to say that he died at the time he was shot in the head, and this seems to suggest that he survived long enough for the death to be a result of the headshot wound and complications from bronchopneumonia. Anyway, Williams said he likely wouldn't have ended up behind bars if Toledo police had turned over a key piece of evidence: camera video from a home across the street showing the entire incident with audio. Whew! Shoot, buddy. This happened in the parking lot as they were making that tactical withdrawal that we discussed a moment ago. And let me tell you something. Both of my vehicles are equipped with audio recording dash cameras. And it's not even for this. It's not even for shit like this, right? You buy a dash camera, you mount it in the vehicle, you mount it in your truck, your minivan, your whatever, right? You mount your dash camera in there, and what it's there for really is for when you get pulled over, so that if something goes weird, if the cop's doing some dirty shit, you've got evidence of the dirty shit. Because if you don't have a dash camera, it's going to be your word against theirs, right? Or there's a car accident, right? So I bought my dash camera. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to appeal to you to buy dash cameras, and I'm going to tell you 3 stories right now. I'm going to try to keep them quick. We'll do more DGUs next Friday, maybe. We'll see what happens next week. But yeah, so in this case, there was a chance that they never found that home video, or that home security camera video. I have a good friend who had a pretty severe problem with some police officers a few years ago, where the story that he cannot corroborate because of the he said, she said nonsense could easily have been corroborated by I believe there were 3 different homes nearby with audio recording, basically Ring doorbell type cameras. And the neighbors were never approached by the police for those recordings. And the recordings just disappeared. Which means that the police in that case did not conduct an investigation, and the guy who was arrested there got completely screwed by incompetent cops refusing to conduct an investigation. They just made a determination, and they fucked up his life without securing evidence that was necessary, evidence that was readily available. If you've got your own dash cam, this happened in the parking lot, this guy could have had his own dash cam on that situation and just said, oh yeah, I've got the camera. So I've had 4 stories since I bought my dash camera. I got pulled over with my daughter in the car, my 13-year-old daughter, and she was still 12 at the time. And we were on our way to a Girl Scout thing, and I got pulled over. And the officer said, you know why I pulled you over? And I said, my tag's good, I'm not speeding. I know my lights are good because I checked. No, I have no idea, officer. Why'd you pull me over? Well, Georgia's a hands-free state, and I saw you using your cell phone. I said, oh, I see. You're a fucking liar. He said, sir, you don't have to be. No. You stop right there. You are a fucking liar. My phone is mounted on the dashboard, right, in a manual transmission pickup truck. I've got one hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the shift stick, and the phone is mounted on the dashboard with the maps up so that I can see where we're going on the maps. That is explicitly permitted within the law in the state of Georgia. We're done here. No, I need to see your driver's license. I've got it on dash camera here. Unless you've got evidence that my phone was in my hand, that I broke the law, fuck you. If you want to see my license, I'll see you in court. And I hope you're prepared, because I'm going to come into that courtroom with this video, and I'm going to explain to the judge that you're a lying piece of shit, You used a pretextual reason, which was fabricated out of thin air, to violate my Fourth Amendment rights, illegally seizing and inconveniencing me and taking time out of my day. And I will pursue you under 242, and fuck your qualified immunity. I will have your badge. I've got the video. What do you say to that? Well, I'm going to let you off with a warning. I said, no, fuck your warning. You're going to write me a citation or you're going to fuck off. You either sprout a sack, commit to your lie, and write the citation, or you fuck right off. You don't get a license. You can run the tag, that's public information, but you're not writing me a warning. You write me a citation or you go away. And that was the conversation there. The next one, I'm going to abbreviate this story a lot because I've told it on the show before. I was doing a real estate shoot, right? This is story number 2 where the dash cam saved my ass. I was doing a real estate shoot. I was parked across the street and down the street from the house because we do that so we're not in the windows when we get the pictures. Homeowner comes out, starts pitching the temper tantrum, threatens to sick his dogs on me. I said, go ahead, buddy. That's not going to work the way you think it will. Calls the cops. The cops come out. I tell the cops what's going on. And the cops look at my equipment because I just kept working while we were waiting for them. It took them almost half an hour to respond. But once they did get there, they were very polite, very professional. And they said, look, that's an expensive looking professional camera. The house has a for sale sign in front of it. It's clearly a house that's being sold. This guy is obviously a professional. He's parked on the public right of way. Sir, you need to mind your own business and go home, right? They told the complainant, the homeowner that was giving me a hard time, go home. And that all went fine. And I got all that on my dash camera. And I asked, don't forget this. If you ever deal with a cop, you take a business card, you get their name and badge number, right? So I did that. I got the name and the badge number. I got it on their business card. I think it's actually still on my desk right here. But I did that. They left the scene there. Everything's good. I finished the shoot, right? Made my money, and I went to my next shoot. Those officers went and responded to a car accident down the street where the dumbass, because he just had his little notebook in his hand and he's scribbling everything on one piece of paper, wrote my plate down as the at-fault party in that accident. But I was nowhere near. By the time the accident happened, I had already packed up my shit and was 2 towns over. That was a big mess that I had to deal with my insurance company, the insurance company of the actual at-fault party, and the insurance company of the not at-fault party, right? The only 2 people involved in the accident that I was not involved in, but it got reported to my company, and then my information got reported to the other 2 companies, and they sent me denial letters that they won't cover my accident. I'm like, whoa. I had to go through the sheriff's department. I had to dig out the officer's body camera footage where we could see him holding his notebook and writing his notes and his shitty chicken scratch all scrunched together. And we were able to solve that problem. Having my dash cam there and a recording of the conversation, and in that case, more importantly, having the foresight to get their badge numbers and a copy of the police report number, lifesavers. About 4 or 5 months ago, this is number 3. I was in a car accident, and I was clearly not at fault. I was going straight, and 2 lanes of traffic. There's a left-hand turning lane coming up on an intersection. I'm going straight, and this asshole tries to squirt around behind the cars that I'm about to drive next to that are in the left-hand turning lane. So I'm going forward into a green light, and he hits me. Now, the light had just turned green. We're moving forward when the guy squirts in, so it was a low-impact accident. My truck is fine. But then this guy's real shady. He's like, look, man, can we just let this go, man? I got my kids in the car, and I don't have car seats for them. And sorry, dude, I can't do it. I call the cops, and I'm standing around forever waiting on these cops to get there. This guy leaves, right? So when the cops get there, well, where's the other guy? And the cops start yelling at me like, you can't just leave the scene. And I said, whoa, hey, I'm here, yo. That other dude ain't me. I got nothing to do with that. Right? And the officer said, okay, well, tell me what happened. And I said, I could show you. And I pulled the video out of the dash cam. I showed the officer while we were waiting. Homeboy came back. Because I had the dash cam video and was able to explain what happened and show the dash cam video to the officers, they wrote old boy a ticket. You know, they got his ID. They wrote down all his information. They gave me a card with homeboy's information, his insurance information, all that on it. So I could make a claim. His insurance company sent me a check and all that. Because I had the evidence from the dash cam, they did not even ask me to see my driver's license, let alone registration, proof, insurance, anything like that. They didn't even ID me. They just said, we're sorry for the inconvenience. You have a nice day, sir. Never called me by my name because they didn't even run me, which, wouldn't really matter, but I thought it was kind of cool that they didn't need to run me. And then the last one, so those are all kind of the things you might expect to need the dash cam for. Here's the last one. This actually happened yesterday. I'm glad I had an opportunity, an excuse to get to this anecdote today. Yesterday, I had a work order to go shoot a property. And when I get work orders for properties, there's a note that tells me whether I'm meeting someone at the site or if it's a vacant property. Often I'll go and shoot vacant properties and there'll be a lockbox on the door, right? So I just let myself in, I shoot the pictures, I lock the house up and I leave. Every now and then I'll get a note that says, not vacant, please arrive at scheduled time. Because if it's a vacant property, like if I'm meeting somebody there, we have a 3:00 appointment, I'm going to meet you there at 3:00. It's an appointment. That's how those work. But if it's a vacant house, I might show up, if it works for me, if it's timely or whatever, I might show up, a couple hours early, right? For whatever reason, it might be a 3:00 appointment. I show up extra early because I want to get it done and get on with my day if I can. So yesterday I called the agent and I asked, hey, this appointment's for 3:00, but it says there's no one present, but it says not vacant, go at selected time. So I'm just calling to verify, is the house vacant? Can I go now? Excuse me. It was like an hour and a half drive. So the agent said, yeah, you can go now. The stagers were there on Tuesday. They're finished, so it should be vacant. You can just go ahead and go. So I go. It's an hour and a half drive to the other side of Atlanta from Monroe, where I'd shot my first house yesterday. I get to the house at 1:00, so about 2 hours early. And I see that I've got a missed call and a text message because my phone's on Do Not Disturb while I'm driving. And the text message says, hey, the stagers aren't done. We're going to have to stick to the 3:00 appointment. Okay, cool. It's inconvenient, but no problem. I'll go take a long lunch nearby, come back at 3. And I did. Now, when I got there at 1, there's nobody there. There's trash in the yard. There's trash in the foyer that I can see through the window when I look in. And I said, okay, so they're still working. Maybe they took a lunch break. Now, if I told somebody that I was going to be done with my job on Tuesday and here it's Thursday, 2 hours before the appointment is scheduled for the photos, I might work through lunch, but that's just me. That's just me. So I get back at 2:45 and there's cars in the driveway. There's people inside working. I get inside. Oh, well, we need another 15 minutes. The appointment's at 3. We need every minute up to 3:00 and we'll be out of here. Okay. And I'm looking around the house as this woman says this. And there's trash on the floor. There's mop buckets. There's their jackets and water bottles and food trash all over the kitchen counters. There's furniture that hadn't been placed yet. There's lamp shades in the floors. There's lamps missing shades. They're nowhere near done. They say, well, we're going to be 15. We need another 15 minutes. So I said, okay, fine. I go outside and hang out by my truck, and I did my walkthrough first. I turned on all the lights because I'm going to need all the lights on to take the pictures. And I see that they're still working in several rooms upstairs, etc. I go out and I hang out by the truck, and I know. I've seen what I've seen. I know what I know, and what I know is that when she said 15 minutes, she was lying. So, like I said, I got there at 2:45, at 2:15, so now I've been here for half an hour. I go up and say, hey, how are we looking? Oh, well, we need another 15 minutes. I said, okay, no problem. I'll just call the agent and let her know that we need to reschedule, and we'll get the photos, tomorrow or Saturday, after the first of the year if we have to, because, it's almost Christmas. Oh, no, don't do that. I'm like, no, I have to do that. I can't stay. You can't hang out another 15 minutes? Oh, I have a contract for a job that starts at 3 o'clock. Should take me between 25 and 30 minutes. I've been here for half an hour. I've been here for longer than the job takes. No, I can't start that job 15 minutes, even 15 minutes later. So I actually get a message at the end of the day after all this hoopla. the stagers that fucked it up, they told the agent all he had to do was wait for us to make one last bed. That's a lie. And here's where the dash cam comes into play. I pulled up at 2:45 with a dash cam that can see the house out my driver's side window and is time-stamped. I left at 3:25 after having those conversations, submitting a trouble ticket to have the appointment rescheduled, right? Packing my camera back up, getting in the truck, and driving off. So I have a 45-minute block that begins with my arriving at a reasonable time, because company policy is to arrive 10 minutes early, and I'm always at least 10 minutes early. It just, for so many reasons. When I have a dash cam, and I get to say, no, your people lied to you. If what they had to do was finish making a single bed, then there cannot have been a 45-minute period in which I filmed them, for the duration of which I filmed them still sitting in the driveway in their trucks. And part of their complaint, well, he could have started it on the exteriors. No, because you're still working inside. What am I going to do? Make you stop working to move cars? By the time you're back in the building, I'm done with the exteriors. So that's 4 cases, all distinct. Let me say it again. This is the beginning of your safety brief. Go on Amazon or go to Best Buy, wherever you need to find one, and get you a dash camera. This man would not have had to sit in jail at all if he hadn't had to wait on the evidence to be secured from the scene across the street. He could have just pulled out his own dash camera with audio and said, yo, detective, here's what happened. And he'd have saved himself a trip to jail. Other than that, good on him. Right, you got an armed civilian who rightfully and reasonably defended the safety of his family from armed men. That's a man right there. Somebody go buy this man a beer and a white hat, right? Yeehaw. Pitt Danny asks, got a brand we should get? If I'm being honest, Danny, the brand that I have is good and it's a reasonable price. I don't remember what the name brand is, but it's nothing especially special. It gets the job done. But what I would recommend, here's what I recommend, is you get one that has the 3 cameras, right? So I'll show you one. I'll pull it up on the old Amazon. But like the one I have, Uncle Steve says he uses Garmin. Somebody's playing with the lights in my basement. We might be getting a visit from an Eleanor in a moment here. Oh, dash cam. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, so this one's kind of a cheapie. That says dash cam hardware kit. That's not what I wanted. Oh, that's weird. Huh. Well, apparently they don't even sell the one that I have anymore. Excuse me. This is a little different than the one that I actually have. But kind of the same thing. So here's what you're looking for. This one has 3 cameras. You see, these 2 cameras are pointed back, but the display is showing the front of the road. So there's a 3rd camera in front. And what you do is, in my truck, the camera on the right is pointed straight out the rear windshield, and the camera on the left is pointed so that it frames up the entire driver's side window and me. So it's like a 2-shot conversation shot, with the expectation that there will be a cop standing right there, and that's what that camera's for. And that's why I say you want the 3-camera dash cam. So you got what's going on behind you, what's going on in front of you. You get a little bit of what's over to the right from the periphery, but more important than what's happening outside your car on the right is what's happening at your driver's side window in the event you get pulled over. Or at least, try to remember to have the wherewithal to adjust one of the cameras to capture the police officer if you happen to get pulled over. And if you're set up like I am, where you've got it pointed straight to the rear, on the right-hand side one, and you happen to have a police officer approach from the right-hand side of the vehicle, try to have the wherewithal to reach up and adjust that camera. But do it slowly so you don't get shot. But if you do get shot, you'll have evidence. And that one's $60, right? The only thing I'd say, as far as the only problem I've had with it is when it gets hot in the summertime, the adhesive doesn't hold as well as I'd prefer it to. I had to replace it with a more heavy duty adhesive, double-sided sticky tape type of deal to get it to stick to the windshield and stay there. But until it gets over about 95 degrees, it's rock solid. So yeah, get yourself a dash cam. Now, going into the weekend, it is guys, it's Christmas. Stay out of the chimney, boys. It's theoretically funny to throw on the red suit and come down the chimney and guys, just dip your boots in the ashes and stomp around a little bit. You're not gonna achieve anything useful by coming down the chimney, especially if you happen to get stuck. And if you look the part, you're gonna get stuck. So, none of that shit. Now, it's also probably a good idea to let people know you're coming. The surprise drop-in, that's a good way to get yourself in trouble. We've seen some horror stories over the years. Young Marine is deployed and gets his Christmas leave and comes home and wants to surprise his family, lets himself in the middle of the night. Daddy shoots him because he thinks he's a burglar. That one happened about 5 years ago, and I still get a little misty when I think about it. That's a fucking nightmare that you don't need. It's also time for rum and eggnog and maybe a little old-fashioned. So don't drive drunk. Don't fry bacon naked. And do know who you're inviting to dinner. Thanks for watching this morning, guys. We love you. Be safe. Have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you, if not next week, sometime in the new year. We love you, and we appreciate you watching. Merry Christmas, guys.